Alright, imagine this. It's 1971. British comedy is at its peak, and the beloved TV series Please Sir is making the leap to the big screen. Fans are eager to see the unruly Class 5C in full cinematic glory. But does it work? Is it just an extended TV episode? Or does it stand on its own as a proper feature film? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into Please Sir, the movie that took the Fen Street gang out of the classroom and into chaos. Now, if you're not familiar with Please Sir, where have you been? The original TV show ran from 1968 to 1972 and followed Bernard Hedges, played by John Alderton, a well-meaning but often overwhelmed teacher trying to wrangle the rebellious pupils of Class 5C. These kids aren't exactly model students. They're cheeky, unruly, and always up to something. The film adaptation, released in 1971, expanded on that premise, taking the class away from school and into the countryside on a disastrous camping trip. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? Well, it is, and that's exactly why it's so much fun. The film kicks off with Mr. Hedges trying to convince the school's strict headmaster, Mr. Cromwell, played by Noel Howlett, to let Class 5C go on the annual school camping trip. Now, if you know this lot, you'll know why this is a hard sell. They're loud, mischievous, and, frankly, a bit of a nightmare. But Hedges, ever the optimist, makes an impassioned plea about giving them a chance. Against their better judgment, the school staff agree on one condition: Hedges has to come along and supervise. And so, off they go to the great outdoors. Of course, things don't exactly go smoothly. There's tension between 5C and the posh boys from Bolter's school, a running feud that escalates into pranks and confrontations. Dennis, played by Peter Denier, befriends a local gypsy boy named Nobbler, while Sharon, Carol Hawkins, throws the entire trip into chaos with a false accusation of assault against one of the Bolter's boys. Meanwhile, Hedges has his own distractions, trying, and mostly failing, to romance local barmaid Penny Wheeler, Jill Kerman, only to end up in the clutches of fellow teacher Miss Cutforth, Patsy Rowlands, instead. Throw in a stolen money subplot, a dance to wrap things up, and Mr. Hedges looking more exhausted than ever, and you've got a classic British comedy of errors. One of the biggest strengths of the Please Sir movie is its cast. Fans of the TV show were delighted to see all their favourite characters return. John Alderton once again leads the charge as the well-meaning but often exasperated Bernard Hedges. He's perfect in the role, balancing charm with sheer exhaustion as he tries to manage the chaos around him. Derek Guyler is brilliant as the grumpy Jobsworth caretaker, Mr. Potter, whose main role in the film is to frown, complain, and disapprove of absolutely everything. Joan Sanderson, who you might also recognise from Fawlty Towers, plays the snobbish Miss Yule, who, let's be honest, probably enjoys judging 5C a little too much. And of course, there's Class 5C themselves. Peter Cleall as Eric Duffy, David Barry as the cowardly but big-mouthed Frankie Abbott, and Malcolm McPhee as Peter Craven, all bring their familiar characters to life on the big screen. And let's not forget Carol Hawkins as Sharon Eversley, whose false accusation is one of the film's more dramatic twists. The film was shot in and around London, with the school scenes filmed at the now demolished Willesden Technical College, just like the TV series. But the big change was the move to the countryside. The camping trip scenes were filmed in the picturesque landscape of Sussex, giving the film a much bigger scope than the TV show's usual school-based setting. This shift worked both for and against the film. On one hand, it gave the characters new dynamics to play with and fresh comedic scenarios. On the other, it sometimes felt like a departure from what made the show work so well, the confined, almost claustrophobic chaos of the classroom setting. So, how did Please Sir do at the box office? Pretty well, actually. British audiences were already familiar with the characters, and the film capitalised on the popularity of the show. It performed solidly in UK cinemas, proving there was a real appetite for big screen adaptations of TV comedies, something that shows like Dad's Army and On the Buses would also take advantage of. Critically, though, opinions were mixed. Fans of the series loved it, enjoying the chance to see the characters outside of their usual setting. But some critics weren't so kind, arguing that it felt like an extended TV episode rather than a proper film. And to be fair, they weren't entirely wrong. While the movie does its best to expand the scope of the story, it never quite escapes the structure of a sitcom episode stretched to 90 minutes. Looking back, Please Sir is a fascinating time capsule of early 70s British comedy. It's got that classic mix of slapstick, cheeky humour, and a little bit of social commentary, though nothing too deep. The themes of class divide, authority versus rebellion, and youthful mischief still resonate, even if some aspects haven't aged particularly well. If you're a fan of classic British sitcoms, it's definitely worth a watch. It might not have the polish of today's comedies, but it's got charm, nostalgia, and a cast of characters that remain as memorable as ever. And hey, if nothing else, it's a reminder of a time when a school camping trip was the perfect setup for absolute chaos. So, what do you think? Does it hold up, or is it best left in the past? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this look back at classic British comedy, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into TV and film history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Good night, boys and girls.
Good night, sir.